Colonel, welcome here. Oh, my friend, thank you for accommodating my seat. Before we you get to our discussion about the imminence of war with the Iran, why do you think that anybody in Hamas would accept the Jared Kushner step, which calls Donald Trump Gaza plan for permanent Palestine subjugation with Tony Blair of all people on planet uh, as the colonial governor?
Yeah, I'm sure that Blair would enjoy that immensely, and it would offer him the opportunity to cash in on the real estate deals that Trump and Kushner and others are trying to develop. I can't imagine why at this stage. You're right. It's effectively surrender, capitulate, throw yourselves at the feet of the Israelis, and you may be allowed to live, is effectively what it amounts to. But the 21-point plan has no chance of working. And I think Mr. Netanyahu has already made that relatively clear. If he hasn't made it directly, then he certainly implied it. This has no chance of going anywhere.
Colonel, did you get any chance to was the Secretary of Defense who calls himself the Secretary for speaking down the figure of about 800 Admiral General the other day to the Quantico?
Well, I listened to some of it, but I ultimately read his remarks. I did stand by to
What
listen to the
would you think
president.
Secretary of Haggis without
Um,
mentioning it, denouncing the Geneva conventions and conserved more that fact around the West Lane than the between the ways? That's great too.
That's a great way to put it. I love it. I wish I'd thought of that. I'll have to write that one down. I think it's very hard to judge when you read the remarks precisely what he wants in some areas. Now there are many things that he said that I fully support. I'm someone who's always been an advocate for selecting and advancing people on the basis of demonstrated character, competence, and intelligence. I absolutely have always disliked the notion that we pick someone on the basis of race or ethnicity or anything else for that matter, or gender. We went through this process many years ago in the 1970s of putting photographs of everyone into the file. And the reason we did that was we had a fat problem, especially in the officer corps, a very serious one. And we had to shame people to get into shape. And in some cases, they didn't, and they were deselected for advancement. But I think we've reached a point now where, to whatever extent you can, you need to disguise who this person is when you evaluate them. But then again, that would defeat the whole system because the whole system of promotion is based on cronyism. Let's be frank about it. So I certainly agreed with those remarks, and I very depressed when I look at the state of the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and so forth, who are overweight. There's no question about that. Now, beyond that, I was a little disappointed because I thought he would address more strategic issues, give people a feel for where the national military strategy is going. We've heard a lot about change in national military strategy. But, Judge, I really haven't seen any evidence for that. On the contrary, it sounded very much like the Biden era. We have enemies everywhere that all have to be fought and defeated, and get on board and we'll go after them. That sort of thing I don't think that was very helpful. Now, what did the flag officers think? I think most of them in the audience sat there and said, "You flew me halfway around the world to listen to this?"
Yeah.
That is the
Yeah. Currently, vehicles an estimated 100 million. It cost all of them fly around the world. It's an outreaches number. I'm gonna play the clip here without mentioning by name. He suggests an abandonment Geneva Convention, which calls Sivuna Warriors War and Senator ratified there is a sovereign law of land, and we will move to another topic. Chris Scott to the number.
To be prepared for war, not for defense.
We're training warriors, not defenders. We fight wars to win, not to defend. Defense is something you do all the time. It's inherently reactionary and can lead to overuse, overreach, and mission creep. War is something you do sparingly, on our own terms, and with clear aims. We fight to win. We unleash overwhelming and punishing violence on the enemy. We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country. No more politically correct and overbearing rules of engagement. Just common sense, maximum lethality, and authority for warfighters. That's all I ever wanted as a platoon leader.
Again, as you
45 after World War II ended,
Again, it's
Curtis LeMay, who had orchestrated the air
what is-
campaign against the Japanese, told all of his staff something that I think we should remember. Had we lost the war, you and I would have been tried as war criminals for what we did to the Japanese.
right.
And to refresh people's memories, everybody goes back to the atom bomb. But quite frankly, the atom bomb did minuscule damage compared to the firebombing of Japan. We
Yeah.
burned down whole cities.
Right.
We burned hundreds of thousands of Japanese alive. Was that necessary to win the war? Well, I'll leave that to be debated by other people. I'm somebody that doesn't believe that killing large numbers of the enemy's population is the way to victory.
Right.
I usually stiff as resolve.
Friend.
I don't know what he meant. When he's talking about rules of engagement, that frankly has nothing to do with the Geneva Convention per se. It strikes me that he's listened to people complain that they weren't allowed to kill people in places like Iraq or Afghanistan because of the proximity of non-combatants. Perhaps that's what he's referring to. I don't know, but when you throw the rule book out, then you end up with Gaza. And Gaza is in the same category as firebombing Japanese cities, correct?
Yes. What do you think?
What do you think about the backup? What should we, the American should go to?
Well, first, as I said before, I think the majority of the senior officers probably said this man thinks he's talking to, people in, 500 or 600 enlisted men in a battalion.
Right. In South Carolina.
Yeah, somewhere, whatever. I think that's probably what they thought. And of course, that would be his frame of reference because what little active duty time he had, and he didn't have much, that's kind of what he was going to witness, is sort of a cheering session, probably. On the other hand, I think he mixes a lot of apples and oranges. And this business of war and defense is very disturbing to me. I'm somebody that thinks that we are overly offensive in our force posture and readiness to attack others. We've taken this notion that we have to be everywhere all the time to beat down any potential opponent or adversary. I'm a big believer in national defense, to be blunt. And I think the use of military power should be a last resort, not the first. So I'm not very comfortable with the change from national defense to War Department. But that's his opinion. He's very excited about that. And I guess he views himself as the nation